Dust management is a never-ending war in our shops, and chances are you've resorted to a leaf blower as a means of controlling the fine dust. But what you're missing is a critical leg in dust management. Good dust collection is a three-pronged attack. You absolutely need a large centralized chip collector. You certainly need some sort of extraction at the source of your smaller tools. And if you have one of these commercial air cleaners, kudos to you for checking off that critical third leg. In this video, I'm talking about a simple solution, a common sense strategy that places the focus back on clean air, not on trivial statistics and analytics. Despite all the absurd overanalyzing and people claiming to build a better box, sometimes the best results are simply those you can see. And if you can convince yourself to stick around to the end of this video, I'll provide you with a bonus tip that will help make this DIY unit even more effective. Consumer pro tip number 1. Buy your box fan from the orange box store. Summertime is the perfect time to grab these fans as they're usually on sale. Next, you'll need a smattering of hardware. Grab 4 1/4-inch eye bolts with nuts. Also grab 4 minimum 2-inch long by 3/16 screw hooks because we're going to hang this unit. Next, 4 1/4-inch by 1-inch washers, and finally a small pack of 1/4-inch coarse thread nuts, which I apparently didn't film. Next, you'll need your filters. If you don't know what MERV is, it's a fairly straightforward concept. MERV stands for Minimum Efficiency Reporting Value. Essentially, the higher the MERV rating, the more particulate matter the filter will capture. Consumer pro tip number 2, buy your filters from the blue box store. The blue box store has better deals on higher MERV rated filters. Grab 2 of these 3M Filtrete 1500 2-packs, which equate to MERV 12, and by doing so, you'll save $5. Also, you'll need a roll of duct tape. After removing the fan from the box, take a razor and break down the cardboard along the creases. We're going to use the cardboard as the top of the filter unit, that way there's minimal waste in this project and no need for overly complicated plywood frames. Next, orient your filters in the proper direction. A key point to keep in mind is that you want your filter pleats to be in the vertical position. If you orient your pleats horizontally as the filter captures dust, those pleats will sag and the filter will not be nearly as effective. Make sure the arrows are facing inward. When your cube is together, all arrows should be facing towards each other. Once properly aligned, you can begin to tape your seams. I went with a simple butt joint configuration and tried to keep the box as square as possible. Now we can work on the lid. Off camera, I rough traced the cardboard shape of the fan. I used double-side tape to adhere the 2 pieces together. If you don't have double-side tape, you can roll duct tape around itself to create a loop, and that will do. Once joined together, take your duct tape and seal up all of the edges, making your lid nice and snug and sealed tight. Go ahead and test fit it over your filter cube and make any adjustments as needed. And pro tip, mark one side of the filters along with the corresponding side of the cardboard lid so you know the proper orientation. Now you can move on to final installation. Chances are you have some scrap cardboard lying around, and if you do, you'll want to cut it into an 18 by 18 square. Set your combo square to 2 inches and create crosshairs in each corner. This will act as your template to drill your pilot holes into your rafters. If your shop ceiling is open, this step will be a cinch. If your shop space is finished, look for the fasteners in the drywall, and then you won't need to hunt for a stud. Drill your pilot holes, then grab those screw hooks and fire them home. I left my hooks about 2 inches down from the drywall. Next, you can transfer the corresponding holes to your cardboard lid. Mark the holes with a Sharpie and cut an X with your razor. Grab your eye bolts, washers, and 1/4-inch nuts and assemble them in this fashion. When tightening the nuts on the eye bolts, no need to ratchet these things down. Finger tight is sufficient. Do a test fit on your ceiling hooks and make any adjustments on the cardboard lid as needed. Once you have your lid hung without issue, you can move on to taping the lid to your filter unit. Again, don't be stingy with the tape. This unit doesn't weigh much, but you don't want a tape-starved seam in this thing coming undone. Before taping down the fan, you'll need to seal up all the corners. Take the remaining cardboard from the original box and cut triangles to tape into those corners. Last little bit here is totally optional, but it does help. Trace the outside curve of the fan and create some of these rounded shapes to cover the space where the fan blades leave gaps. This will improve airflow and the effectiveness of the fan. Now you can finally tape the fan to your filters. Tape your seams, making sure you have a strong bond and there are no gaps between the fan and the filter. And once finished, go hang it up, plug it in, and let the filtering begin. So, does this air cleaner actually work? As evidenced by this Tommy Chong-sized marijuana cigarette, yes! The fan does its job and pulls air through the filters. Now, I could certainly start throwing a series of inconsequential numbers like these at you to satiate your need for empirical analysis, but I won't. No, the simple fact of the matter is this air filter works, but it does need some help. So here's that bonus tip I alluded to earlier in the video. The help this filter unit needs is in the form of a second fan to create more turbulence to keep those fine particles suspended and moving towards the air cleaner. In this demonstration, I'm showing you that on high speed, the second fan pushes fresher air into the shop towards a perpendicular wall. In my case, that wall is approximately 11 feet from the second fan. And as I make the 90-degree turn, the air is now moving in a cyclonic motion towards the air cleaner. As I travel down the back wall of my shop, the airspeed becomes less and less, but you don't need 100-mile-an-hour winds to move those microscopic particles. As I get further from the second fan and closer to the air cleaner's fan does its job and pulls the particles into the filters. What other proof do you need? To wrap up, in the time you would spend trying to unpack overanalyzed and arguably irrelevant data regarding CFM, static pressure, and/or wind speed, you could have been on your way to completing one of these units and living a healthier shop life. So what are you waiting for? Avoid those data trap videos and get to building. Your lungs will thank you for it. And by hanging the unit, you'll also have created a cooling source in those warmer months. So there's another benefit of this unit.